Hey guys. So I decided to just make another video rambling. Um, I had a fun little interaction with some of my friends on Twitch in Discord the other day. If they watch this, they'll know who they are. And they were just rapid firing questions to me about living in Australia and stuff like that. So it got me thinking. And I know a lot of my friends back home also ask me what it's like to live here, how it's going. And so I've been thinking about it, and it's just like living anywhere else. But I think people get so excited because, they may not have ever made a big move like that. I know a lot of people that still live in my hometown and have lived there their whole life. So like to them, it's quite unfathomable to like move continents. But I think, once you start really living somewhere, and by that I mean, you do your grocery shopping there, you pay your bills, rent, gas, electricity, that type of thing, and you start working, it's just like living anywhere else, like you still struggle to try and make friends and to make those meaningful connections. You still can't stand people. Like, there's still the good people and the bad people, and you can see them from a mile away. And you still are always looking to, like, gain your footing, to get that, like, sense of normalcy, to have your spots that you frequent. Whether it be, like, stores or restaurants, you're just looking for, like, your usual. Like, when you go to a place, you're like, yeah, I'll have the usual. It's like that, except, it's kind of like getting another chance to find that. So like here, I don't have, let's say, China Inn. That's a buffet in my hometown. And like I go in there, I know the spots, I know what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get those noodles, I'm gonna get the crab rangoon, I'm definitely getting the pepper chicken, black pepper chicken. You know what I mean? Like you have those usuals that you always go to. So it's like that, you're trying to find that again. And like I said, with all the things I listed off, when you start doing all of that, it is like living anywhere else. And I think if you don't take the time to really notice your surroundings, you won't feel like you're living anywhere else. You won't be able to appreciate where you're living. And here, I get caught up in my days, you know the workflow, and I really try to take the time to appreciate nature, for example. That's one like really blinding foreign thing here is nature. And since I live and work close to the city, there isn't much that I get to interact with. But one thing is the birds and the trees. I'll look at the trees, and there's like palm trees as well, and there's like these huge trees, just huge. And we don't have those from where I'm from. Like, yeah, they're in the US, but from where I'm from, no, there's not those trees. And the birds, oh my gosh, the birds. You'll see like a wild cockatoo and you're like, whoa, like these are pets back home. We don't have these flying around. And just listening to them sing to you at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's such a amazing feeling. And it reminds me where I'm at and where I come from. And it's bittersweet, it makes me sad, it makes me happy, it makes me excited, it makes me longing to go back home, because it feels so strange to not hear the birds that I know, to not see them flying in the air. If you can tell, I love birds. But it's another way for me to channel, my excitement, my homesickness, and remembering all of that. And also, taking the time to look around at my surroundings. People drive on the other side of the road, people drive different vehicles. Listening to people talk, you hear people talking from all different backgrounds, and actually interacting with them. Like I don't I you know, I'm a pretty shy and timid person, and I try to get out of my shell. Some days I really just get that stick up my butt and I really want to interact with somebody. And so like I'll reach out, and whether it be somebody at work, you know, I've had very random interactions with people in the city, and just learning where they come from. Yesterday I was at work and there was this man sitting there, and I could tell that he was new and he looked, you know, possibly a little bit overwhelmed. So I just like striked up conversation while I'm cleaning the bathroom. And, you know, I asked him his name. His name was Bami, and he spelled it for me because it sounded like I was struggling. And he's from Nigeria. And oh man, I know people from all over the world here. And you know, you have people that have those accents like me that sound fresh off the boat, and then you have people with like these mixed accents where you know that they probably speak another language, but they've also probably been in Australia for like 20-30 years. And then you have, you know, the straight up Aussies that just have that really thick Australian accent. And it's, you know, every day presents a different challenge to me, whether it's, you know, training my ears to be able to understand somebody speaking English, which sounds ridiculous, but it's real. It's a real challenge sometimes for me to even understand someone who's of Australian background speaking English to me. Speaking clear English to me is sometimes a challenge. And me speaking clear English to people is also sometimes a challenge here, which you kind of have to humble yourself, you know, because you get frustrated. You're like, damn it, Americans speak pretty clear English, especially with my accent, and you're not understanding like what I'm saying to you. So it's about humbling yourself. So yeah, I do enjoy living here. I enjoy the differences. It's been such a life-changing experience. I think that I've always challenged myself in strange, off-the-wall ways. If you know me, or if you think about anything I've told you about myself, you know, I come from a very, very poor background, very poor neighborhood. The sports I played in school, like they're not characteristic of me being female. Like I've never been very feminine. Like all those different challenges that I've challenged myself in those ways, I think it brings like a very different approach to life, and it's shaped my character in a way that's very different from other people, I would say. I don't think I'm amazing. I don't think I'm super unique, but the ways in which I've tried to challenge myself here and by being here is something that it's hard for me to put into words. Like I know the emotions, I know the feelings, but for me to explain it in words is difficult. Um, you know, I've struggled a lot since I've been here, and it's hard to reach out. It's hard to let people know that, you know, things didn't work out as amazing as I thought they would. You know, I didn't get a job right away. You know, I waited months, and then I got a shitty job, and then I had to quit it because it was messing with my mental health. And then it was another few months before I got another job. And then I had 3 jobs. And so it's like that sort of thing. And I've really struggled to fit in. I've struggled to make friends, to go out there and relate and integrate myself. I still haven't done that. And I think it's depression. It's like I'm having a midlife crisis, and I'm not even 30 yet, because, you know, I've had to essentially start over. So like my friends that I could just drive 15 minutes and see, they're not there anymore, you know, and I can still reach out online and thank God for technology, but it's different. And knowing that I'm missing out on so much, and I think that's one of the hardest parts, and I get discouraged, is is getting right with that in my mind, getting right with my decisions and whatever consequences my decisions have. Getting right with that in my mind has been difficult. I shortly after moving here, I lost my dad. And I wasn't very close with him ever in my life. I didn't grow up with him. He left when I was a baby, saw me one time, didn't want any part of it. I met him again when I was an adult. I was, almost 18 years old, and met him quite a few times, and we just, we didn't get along that great, and he said some things, I said some things, and it just didn't end well. And I always kind of like held on to in the back of my mind all growing up and all when I was adult that, maybe someday we could have a relationship, but not today. You know what I mean? Like, at the time I was in college, and then, I got out of college and I was working, and then, and then I was developing my relationship and getting ready to move here. And at that point I hadn't had contact with him in years, and then he died, and it's a lot to handle. It's not something that you can make people probably easily understand or relate with, but I know that a majority of people have lost somebody and they didn't get to say goodbye, and they didn't get to make those things right with themselves, with that person, with the universe. And then that's something that you're left alone with. And that's been like, because he passed away a month after I got to Australia, and I couldn't even make it back to make my peace there at the funeral. And that's something that bothered me greatly, because that would have been the chance for me to make peace. So I've had to make peace on my own in a foreign country with none of my family here. And I do have support here. I'm very, very lucky for the people that I do know here. It's not like I have nobody. I have Lucas's family, who are amazing. Thank God. Because I couldn't do it without them, without their support. But yeah, that's been something that I've tried to make peace with, and it's set all these gears in motion in my mind about what I'm missing out on, and my friends and my nephews and my niece, and they're growing up and I'm missing out on those milestones, and I hope they understand. I hope they're not upset. Yeah, that's probably been the hardest, is thinking about the milestones that you miss out on. But making that, and coming to terms, coming to peace with your decisions, and knowing that like this is hopefully what you were meant to do with your life, at least to make this trek, to make this journey, to do all these challenges, and to see what your Abraham, sorry guys, to see what you're meant to do with your life, if you know what I'm trying to get at. It's always a journey to find that meaning, and that's what life is. It's all about finding your meaning, finding your way in life. And a lot of people find that through their work, a lot of people find that through their family, and for me, it's just been one midlife crisis, having to start over at my age, trying to understand my meaning. And I know a lot of people probably don't even agree with anything that I'm saying. They're probably like, no, that's not right. It's not all out in the air like that. Some like, goofy, trippy meaning to life. There's no meaning. I know we all have our different perspective, but for me to be able to live life and feel okay with being here, I want to find meaning in my life. Otherwise, what's the point? There is no point. So that's my way of coping with being on this earth and making it through all of the shit that we have to deal with, all the terrible parts of life. So yeah, I've kind of went on a little bit of a ramble, but that's the point of me making these videos, is rambling, and I just wanted to touch on what it's been like to live in Australia, to live far, far away from my home, from my family, from anyone I ever knew. And I've been gone for over a year now. So coping with all of that, and I guess the takeaway from this is, yeah, it's just like living anywhere else. If you don't take the time to slow down and remember and appreciate and interact. So I might have started like rambling about something specific and then I moved on to the next. If there's anything that you guys want me to touch on in another video, if you don't care, you just leave it in the comments. And yeah, I hope that this is somewhat interesting. I did start to get emotional, but thank God I didn't like full on ugly cry. You're welcome for that. Nobody wants to see that. Until my next video, I hope everybody is doing very well. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me chat here today. Take care.